Hi, my name is Christian, and you're watching Barrel Proof. So today we are going to take a little in-depth look into Green River Full Proof. Now, this is a Kentucky bourbon that is barrel proof, and it was one of my first ventures into the barrel proof whiskey world. So it is a Kentucky bourbon. So it is 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% barley, which makes it like a medium rye because sometimes it's just 51% corn, 40% rye, and it's a high rye bourbon, or it's almost like almost no rye in it whatsoever. This is somewhere in the middle, and you can see it by the color. It doesn't have an age statement on it that I can find. I did not look online. I would guess it's around 4 to 6 years just from the color there. But on the back, it mentions, where it was. It was originated in 1885. It's Kentucky's 10th oldest distillery, which is not one of the first, but it's probably, not one of the last either. But this particular bourbon comes in at 118 proof, and this is straight from the barrel, obviously. See if it says anything else. It says the pride of Owensboro, Kentucky. So we'll see how that adds up. I really like the bottle. I don't know if I mentioned the price. This was about $50. I ended up getting it at Total Wine, which I'm not really a fan of, in particular where I would normally buy whiskey, but the price was right there. So you can find this as cheap as 45. It'll go up to about 55 depending on where you live. So that's before tax. And the bottle itself, interesting, it's cylindrical, but it has this square front to it. And I thought that was unusual. No other bottles quite like that. They usually are either cylindrical, or they're stubby, or they're rectangular. This is a little bit of all of that. So we are going to have a pour, and we are going to give a review on it. All right, so this one's already cracked, so we're just going to go straight into a pour. Nice little cork pop there. Just going to pour a little bit just for a little sip there. Pop it back in. On the nose, a lot of sweetness, a little bit of cocoa or chocolate, more chocolate than cocoa. It's a little bit sweeter. And you're not getting a lot of the ethanol smell that you would normally get with a higher proof bourbon, something over 105, 110. It really smells great. Let's see how it tastes. I haven't had this in a while. So yeah, it follows through with that that sweetness. You're getting that caramel, brown sugar, a little bit of chocolate at the end, a little bit of like semi-sweet chocolate. It isn't like real sweet. It's sort of just halfway there. It's not dark chocolate. It's not a bitter chocolate taste. Get another sip here. And one thing I'll notice is it drinks about. I would say if there's one downside to Green River Full Proof, it does drink about the proof it's at. So you can tell it's a little bit hotter than, say, your 90 proof whiskeys, stuff like your Wellers or your Blanton's, something like that, or just like E.H. Taylor's, stuff that'll be at 90, 100 proof. You can tell it's above that. Other than that, the flavor is very rich. I would highly recommend this as a bourbon that you would want to try at barrel proof. This is what made me want to get into other barrel proof or cask strength bourbons, because the flavor is intense. When you have a bottle like Buffalo Trace here, this is 90 proof, and it has the same caramel richness and sweetness, but it's been watered down. This would normally come in at like 120, 130 proof, and then they used their Kentucky limestone water to water it down and bring it down to 90. And that's just done for smooth flavoring. If you really want, I really like that barrel strength, hit you in the face, like punch you in the face, and you really want to get that flavor that you would get as if it were to come straight out of the bottle. Straight out of the barrel. And so as a result, this bottle got me into buying bottles like this one here, which I don't believe I've done a review on. That's out of Memphis. And There's a bunch over here. Woodinville out of Washington, Old Forester, single barrel proof, and many more. So the Green River is a great place to start. It's, you know, it's not weeded. Weeded is not normally my flavor profile. I like that, like I said, that smack you in the face sort of flavor. So this doesn't smack you in the face with like the proof. The flavor is fairly intense, and I would highly recommend it. As I mentioned, I think that at the price point, it's excellent. A lot of these bottles can get really up there in price. I wouldn't recommend going and getting, say, for example, E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof as your first, you know, uncut, unfiltered bourbon, because one, you'll pay a lot of money, and two, you just it's kind of like this is so good that you'll feel that everything else is going to be as good as it is, and I think you'll be kind of slightly underwhelmed by, you know, you're talking about a $300 bottle on secondary market plus versus this is a $40 bottle, and they both taste great. They're just a different flavor profile. So if you like a little bit of rye in your bourbon and you want to try something barrel proof, try Green River Full Proof. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all next time.